A White Stone by Jim and Mary Corbett. Chapter 20. From Our Father's Heart. When did I ever say that ease and comfort would be your lot? Look into my word. Those that I called my own, those I held dear to my heart at times, had no place to live. Even my own son had no comforts of this world. You seek to satisfy your own needs and call it my will for you. I prosper you, and you use it to pad your rest areas. Do you not see that I can't use you with a heart that has grown cold? The weight of your possessions and lusts and fears of loss have nullified your testimony. You look no different than the world. Change your hearts now. Turn from seeking me for your own gain. The selfless life is the life to which I have called you. You gave me everything. Why do you take it back? I want to use you for my purposes, but you are too busy serving your own needs. The people perish all around you, and you don't even look up from your toil. You praise me with your lips, but your hearts are far, far from me. Return now that I might use you. End of From Our Father's Heart reading. Be careful not to do your acts of righteousness before men, to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by men. Matthew 6:1-2a, NIV. You invited that big guy back, didn't you? Pastor Wickham's iPhone shrieked in his ear. I'm warning you, Morgan. If this guy causes any kind of disturbance like he did on Thursday, you're gonna hear about it. I've already talked to some of the people around here who don't go along with this whole thing, and they aren't about to put up with any of his or your shenanigans. You had better be in control tonight, or you're gonna hear about it. That's all I have to say. Suddenly, the voice was gone. You're gonna hear about it, Morgan Wickham said, mocking the shrill voice and old-maid busybody attitude of Sam Thompson, his most recent caller. Normally very reserved, even stuffy, some might say, he had to laugh at himself as he said it again to ease the pressure and discouragement he was feeling. What a gleep, he exclaimed, startling himself and looking around to make sure no one was within hearing distance. Pastor Wickham moved aside some papers on his desk in a mindless show of straightening up a little bit. He adjusted his matching pens at the front and moved the pencil box to the right about an inch. Then he tapped that evening's sermon notes on end and decided to go through them one more time before the service. Why am I so restless, Lord? I feel as though I'm a farmer, and I'm standing here looking at a whopper of a storm brewing off in the distance. I know the machinery is safe inside, the wife and kids are safe, and I've done all I can do to prepare. But this season's crop, my complete provision for this year, is in the field exposed, and there's nothing more I can do to protect it. If this coming storm is a squall or has hail or hurricane winds in it, I'm in deep trouble. I could lose everything I've worked so hard for. Still, all I can do is ride it out and let it happen. Everything I own is in your hands, Lord. Anybody home? From the outer office, Jim Wilson announced his arrival for their scheduled pre-service meeting. Come in, Jim, Morgan greeted him warmly, extending his hand as he walked toward his head deacon. As Jim walked to one of the maroon tufted leather chairs in the conference area, he began speaking even before they were both seated. Boy, is this guy in for a shocker. I'll bet this is more money than he's seen in a lifetime, he said, handing the check made out to Horace Winslow to Pastor Wickham. Pastor Wickham opened the folded piece of paper and exclaimed at the amount. $17,000? We're going to give him $17,000? Yeah, isn't it great, Jim said, leaning back in his chair with a confident smile on his face that hinted of the pride he felt, as if he'd his hand in a very successful business venture. Then again, that's why he was head deacon. He knew how to put things together, things that needed to be put together for the success of the church. I just made some calls here, pulled some strings there, pushed a couple of the right buttons, and voila, he exclaimed, as he swept his arms wide as if unfolding a bounty on the table before him. Look, these people won't even feel it. There could have been double that amount if we had more time, but that'll do for now. If we ever want to help him out again, we can. Let's see what he does with this first. We'll keep an eye on him and see how he spends it, Jim said, rising from his chair and walking toward the door. We had better be good stewards, you know. This is God's money. We'll watch him closely. Morgan followed him to the door in the outer office, and after shaking hands, watched Jim as he greeted the first people about to enter the sanctuary for the evening service. Boy, is Train ever going to be surprised, he thought to himself, as he closed his private office door for prayer before the events of the evening. Does this have anything to do with that storm lord? He just couldn't help feeling that it did. Somehow, something just didn't feel right. He went to the padded kneeler in the corner of his office. Please protect the crops, Lord. I've worked long and hard. It would be rough to start all over. I'm asking you to please protect the crops. End of chapter 20.